Hi guys, in the last video I showed you how to make your own loom out of using just a wooden picture frame and some nails. In this video I'm going to show you how to put the warp onto your loom, and I'm going to show you two different ways of doing it. The first way is single warping, and you can see here the threads are more spaced apart and it's using just one row of nails that you hammered in at the bottom. It lends itself to using chunkier yarns and things that require less detail. The second way I'm going to show you is double warping, and you can see that the warp threads are closer together and it's using both rows of the nails that you hammered in at the top and the bottom. And it's good if you want to weave things like shapes. It just gives you that much more detail with them. So as ever, if you have any questions, please just fire away, either in the comments below. You can get in touch via the contact form on the Elka website or on Instagram, which is Elka_textiles. The materials you'll need to put your warp onto the loom are simply a pair of scissors and a warp yarn. Now, I either use this cabled cotton here or a linen. With your warp yarn, you want it to have ideally a little bit of flex in it, but you want it to be nice and strong as well. And then I find a basket or a bowl to put your warp yarn into while you're putting it onto your loom very useful. So taking your warp yarn, pop it into your basket or bowl, and then place that down next to you or down onto the floor, out of the way, and it just stops your yarn from rolling in and out between chair and table legs. I'll get those scissors to one side. Now, with these looms that I showed you how to make in the previous video, you've got these two rows of nails. And the idea behind that is that you have the option of either single warping, using just one row of nails on each side, or double warping, which will use both rows on each side. So single warping will give you a more spaced out set, a more spaced out warp of threads. Double warping will mean your threads are closer together. The closer together they are, the finer the detail you can put into your woven piece. So it really depends on what you're planning on making. If you're planning on using lots of really chunky fibres, then maybe you just need to do single warping, but I'm going to show you now how to do both. So you can just tie a normal double knot around your first nail there. If you're worried about it slipping, tie 3 in there and then keep that tail out of the way. So I'm going to start off by showing you single warping, and for that we're just going to use the 2 rows of nails that are closest to the middle. And so you're going to come up to the top, round this nail head here, and I find it easy to keep the tension on by moving my finger up and down. It's a bit of a fiddle actually using, and then this is single warping here, and so you're coming up and down, keeping that tension on. Now, getting a good tension with your warp threads is something that comes with practice. What you're aiming for is a nice, firm, springy surface, but you don't want it to be so loose that when you strum your threads like that, that they carry on wobbling around for ages. You want it to have a nice, firm, springy surface. So that's your single warping. Now I'm going to swap over now to doing double warping so that you can compare the difference. So I'll just come up, and when I come up here, I'm going to jump up onto this top row of nails and back down to the bottom. And so you're using both rows. Keep them pressed down to the bottom. And you can see there that your threads are now much closer together. So you'd want to use this type of warping if you were going to do something, you know, that involved weaving shapes. You'd get much more detail if you did this double warping technique. And so I'm just going to carry on all the way to the end now using the double warping technique. Now I'm just coming down to my last nail on the bottom here, and I like to start and finish on the bottom, and my reason for that is that I like to have nice even loops over the top to then hang my piece of driftwood through, or dowel, or whatever you're going to hang your piece on. So the first thing you want to do is just secure this end. Don't tie it in a knot just yet, but tie it round a few times just to keep the tension on, and you can wiggle it through the nails a bit to really kind of put your mind at rest that that's not going to ping off. The nails are quite good for that. And you just want to check your tension now all the way through. You can give it a little strum and see if there are any. So you see when I do that, there's a few threads here that are strumming and wobbling around longer than the others, and it just means that they're looser than the other threads. And instead of taking it all off, you can just pull them in the direction that you put them onto the loom, and you can just work your way all the way back through the surface of your warp like that, and tighten it all up again. This is something, warp tension is something that comes with practice. The more you do it, the more even your tension will become. And the tension really does affect how your weaving turns out. So you'll find you get areas that are sort of weaving really tight, or areas that are a bit looser, and that can be related very much to how you've put the warp onto your loom. So you get the idea. You can work your way all the way through like that, right back up towards the end. And then once you get there, let's just get those last few ones done. You can give it another strum again and see, there we go, I've got quite a loose one now on the end. And so you can push those down, give it another strum, and just check the tension again. And once you're happy with that, you can just retie this. You grab your scissors, cut yourself a good couple of inches. You know, you can wrap it round a couple of times again just to keep the tension on, and it just makes it easier than tying a normal double knot around that last nail. And there you go. Once you start weaving, these will stick down a little bit more. Once you've got your first few rows of weaving in and you've beaten them down, those will kind of stay down towards the bottom. But you can see why it's a good idea now to have the nails with the heads on them, so these can't physically pop up over the top. So yeah, if you've got any questions, guys, just give me a shout in the comments, or through our website, or through Instagram, Elka_textiles, and yeah, happy weaving.